Hello, Necro again. This time, I'm going to show you what I do for wind. I've had so many people pop into my Twitch over the months that have started playing the Western version, always asking about my wind, why are you using the wind weapon and stuff, and I've got my reasons, whatever. That's not what this is about. This is more about the wind build viability. And ever since the skill changes that they gave us in Japan, it's become quite viable, in my opinion. And I switch between lightning and wind, but this video will show you what I do with wind and why it can work. Now, first off, the skills. What are the skill setups when I say wind? When I say wind, I'm talking about the passive green one here. This wind, it increases the damage on our F. Very, very, very important for this. When possible, this is important. This middle tree on our 2 skill rather than the stun. If you're in a party and if you're in certain situations, you're going to have to use that. Otherwise, if you can get away with it, you want this. Because it generates 3 wind orbs after the animation is done. And it also reduces the cooldown off of our Z skill a little bit, like 1 second for each of the 4 hits. Now, as far as the double CC thing goes, the V skill is going to be best either here or here, depending on the circumstances. If you need to survive, left. This is the best, awesomest heal skill ever. Plus my frame. This is what I've been using a lot lately. The middle path, the AoE pool, it's now double groggy. So if you need to create a double CC, and it doesn't have to be stunned specifically, this is great. But again, don't discount the left tree. If survival is important, survival first. Now, our X skill, this is the 2 new paths. This one right here, the second to last one, is the wind. What it does, just like the lightning one, it shoots you to the opponent and instantly generates 3 wind orbs. So between our 2 skill, at the end of the 2 skill, 3 wind orbs. At the end of X, 3 wind orbs. That's important. And everything revolves heavily around this blue Z skill and being able to manage its cooldown. And you'll see what I'm going to be talking about as I demonstrate stuff. Now, there's one other element, and like in my lightning video I explained, is this skill over here. This is from when we pick up an enemy with 4, you hit 2, and then you can use the RB to unleash 6 swords. This tree right here is particularly noteworthy because A, it does more damage, and B, it shaves off 18 seconds off of the blue Z. This skill is one of the reasons why I believe this may actually be a very viable build and something I'm going to be using a lot more often, probably in parties. Because with the new system, the new attacks you can do on a restrained target, in other words, an LBM is holding or a destroyer, your DPS starts really going down and everybody else's really skyrockets because holding a target, tremendous DPS for everyone else. The wind build allows you to at least bank on that fact that you will spend 6 seconds holding and literally shave off almost half of your cooldown time on Z. Like 18 seconds worth. So everything revolves around this Z. Now, going into the... Oh, I guess this is worth mentioning. For me, like I've been using the RB middle tree, which is the highest damage one. That's the one pretty much anyone should ever be using. But for my LB, I'm not using it down the middle. Normally, you would probably be using this LB, which makes you attack faster with it, and once it crits, you can full speed RB. I've been using this instead. This one generates essentially twice as much mana. And it allows me to just LB, maybe LB, LB, and just RB. And even if I go into it slowly, if my RB crits, I believe it goes into full speed anyways. It seems to be fine, and I've been very happy with it. So just wanted to throw that out there too. Now, gear. The only reason this build, in my opinion, is viable whatsoever is because of this talisman, charm, amulet, whatever you want to call it. This comes from the 20th floor on the tower farming. This is the wind version, and what this does is allows you to use your F without a prerequisite when you're in your Z. So in other words, if you've got 3 orbs, wind orbs, and you hit Z, FFF, you don't have to RBF, RBF. Very, very, very important, because there's a lot of situations in the real world, so to speak, outside of the test dummies, where you're going to get stunned or knocked back, or you got a tab escape, but you're still in Z. You're able to immediately tab out and just continue FFF and keep going. Without this, it's just not going to be very viable. And this one comes from the peach farming place in the basin. This is the wind equivalent. You can see I got lightning, wind. So 2 different versions for each. What this one does, it only works on this 2 skill. Not the other ones, only the middle path, the one that hits 4 times and gives you the orbs. And what it does is, when it's done, it shaves off 6 seconds on your Z. So this helps with the main goal, which is shaving off cooldowns off of your Z. I'll try and get into that a little bit more. It'll make more sense in practice when I show you in demonstration. And unlike the lightning build, the turtle set doesn't really help this build very much as far as the 8 set bonus, because it only functions on the V. And the V is either going to be the iframe or the AoE pull. I mean, it's nice to be able to double groggy on an 18-second cooldown, so it's not useless, but it doesn't offer quite the same benefits as the lightning build. It's something to keep in mind. Alright, so the first thing I want to show you is going to involve being able to, an example of using the V skill AoE pull in conjunction with our X and Z. Depending on how much damage you can do to the enemy, you could instantly wipe them out. Let's take care of these 3. There's only 3, but we can spawn the rest of them in a sec. So here you can see there's a whole bunch of enemies. They're all over the place. Do this. X, V, Z, F, F, F. Here we are in front of the boss now. I did the same thing with my lightning build. Now, the way this is going to play out is going to be a little bit more complicated. As I mentioned earlier, everything revolves around this blue Z for wind. In order to make it really, really viable, we have to manage the cooldown on the Z. Now, there's a certain order I like to do things. First off, when I use the Z, I have enough time to pull off about 8 Fs. And you can get 3 off of a 2 skill, 3 off of the X skill, and then if you RB, you can, and those crit, you get 2 more. That's with my ping. Sometimes, like, when there's other players around, there may not be enough latency to handle that, but I can always do at least the 6 if I use X and 2. Now, it would normally make more sense to use 2 first, rather than X, because this one has a long animation time. But this thing is going to shave roughly 10 seconds because of the amulet thing. plus the natural shaving it does off the cooldown. So this skill is a hybrid. I'm using this because I need wind orbs, 3 wind orbs instantly, and I need to shave off some time. So especially when I have about 10 seconds left on the Z, then you may see me pop that too. If X, 2, and Z are up, you'll see me usually hit X first, generate 3 wind orbs right off the bat. Then I would hit Z, F, 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 and then hit 2. When that's done, F, 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 and then RB, RB, F, F. If I feel like I might be a little laggy, maybe just 1 RB, F. Otherwise, you know, you just play it by your situation. It's a little harder to use this in practice because of, you know, evading shit and, you know, all sorts of crazy crap. The C skill, I use like this one on the right tree, just like my lightning. This is almost more of a tool for reducing cooldown on the Z, because every time you generate a lightning orb, you shave off 1 second off of this Z. As a result, this is another way it'll be shaving off time. So when Z's on cooldown, C is up, then I'm going to be draw stancing. Whether or not I'm going to LB through the rest of it after the lightning wears off, that just depends on the circumstances. And if you have an enemy that you can stun or CC, then, and that's why I'm using this boss as an example, since it requires a double. You can, you know, double kick or use the V skill to pick his ass up after. And you will see me do this as another form of, not damage, but more for picking him up, hitting my 2, and unleashing the swords. Because this shaves off a whopping 18 seconds off my cooldown on that Z. So you'll be seeing me pick him up and doing that, and immediately dropping him and going. And I almost never, if I can avoid it, hit Z unless I have 3 wind orbs. So if I can't generate orbs off X or 2 because they're on cooldown, but my Z is ready to go, you may see me RB until I got 3 wind orbs, then go, because that F skill, being able to FFF with the Z, it makes the most sense to pre-generate as many as you can first. So let's go ahead and start. And I'll start this fight using the initial combo X, Z, 2. That's their X, Z, FFFF, 2, blah, blah, blah. And I'll try and explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it, if I can. So, X, Z, F, 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 2, 2, 2, 2, F, F, F. Alright, see, I didn't get enough for the... So now I'm doing my animation canceling off of my draw stance, and the 10 seconds I can usually get it down to Z by the time it's ready to go. It is. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. I didn't crit that time. And that kind of gives you an idea. It's much more difficult to commentate what I'm doing as I'm doing it, just due to the... It's much more interactive and hands-on. You gotta pay much more attention. But, as you saw, it's basically getting that cooldown managed. Everything based around that. If I don't try and do the... If I'm in a situation like this, where I'm solo or whatnot, I won't bother doing the grab thing until after I've exhausted my 2 skill and my C skill. Because then I can do the grab, get 18 seconds off, and then go from there again. And anytime this is on cooldown, my 2 skill is up, I can use it to shave off roughly 10 seconds. It's really hard to demonstrate more than that, but in a nutshell, I mean, that's my wind build. Like, that's how I've done it, and it's very effective. It's very fun to use. It can be a little exhausting. It's a lot of work. And it's really annoying when, like, for example, you're using it in a party and the enemy is downed. And because when you have a downed enemy, you can use this stupid kick skill, which is activated by F. So you're hitting F, and you hit your wham, boom, boom, and then, like, you're trying to hit 2 or something to go into the next thing, and it registers another F, but as the stupid kick, and it's like a 10-year animation time. So there's room for frustration. You're also likely to accidentally knock an enemy up in the air if you're not careful, if somebody stuns it at the wrong time and you're not paying attention and you're just mashing F to get through those. But again, without this charm, I would not recommend this build. So, there you go. Bye.